Hi, I'm Vicki Carroll and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I always love it when people come on to watch the videos, and one of my most popular videos is assertive communication, 5 phrases to assertive communication. And many of you have reached out to me and said, do these phrases work for narcissism? And I guess my answer would have to be yes, no, and maybe. Assertive communication is direct communication, communicating needs and wants, but doing it in a way that it works for both sides of the conversation. So we're engaged in bilateral listening when we are in a conversation that involves assertive communication. This isn't always true with a narcissist, but let's just quickly review some of the steps of assertive communication. If you look at a linear line, you certainly don't want to be the doormat over here where everyone's stepping on you and you don't feel like you have a voice at all. But you don't want to be aggressive either, because that doesn't really lend itself well to collaboration. So you want to be that middle of the road where you're able to express yourself and do it in a way where people listen, but it's collaborative. So use I statements like I need, I want. You want it to be personal. Also avoid qualifiers like but. You say something and then say but, and it kind of just diffuses that comment. And then stay on topic. And if things start to get a little, heated, maybe it's good to take a time out and always stay with facts. Stick with facts when you're trying to come up with a resolution. For years as a corporate trainer, I was often asked during my seminars to talk about narcissism, because a narcissist can be fairly toxic in any environment they're involved in, whether it's a family team or a professional team or a neighborhood team. And narcissism in the workplace doesn't work well either. So not being a behavioral psychologist, I really rely on others that are to gather information to help you with this topic today. So I want you to know about my book, Puzzle Pieces. The premise of this book is our life is a puzzle and we all have missing pieces. And how do we find those strategies to replace those pieces? So maybe for some of it, it's building your brilliance. Maybe it's about better use of time, being more productive, ability to change. We know that we all resist change, self-advocacy, self-affirmation. So again, pick this up. It's a quick read. You can just go to the segment that you want to try to find strategies to help you build your personal puzzle. And there is information in here on self-advocacy and also on how you can be a better assertive communicator. So let's talk about narcissism. Like I say, as a corporate trainer, I was asked to talk about this to try to help build teams. I know about narcissism firsthand because my brother was a narcissist, and I use the term was, not because he changed. Narcissists don't change, but it's because he's passed away. But he left some scars on me. The things he'd say to me, the way he talked to me, the way he demeaned me if he didn't get his own way. And I was the oldest in the family. So oftentimes I was the one left in charge, and if I asked him to do something that he didn't want to do, it could be kind of crazy. And he had the real ability to put others down and make them feel insignificant. Research shows us from a study out of Iowa State that people with high self-esteem think they're as good as others, where narcissists think they're better than others. So there's a big difference between a narcissist and someone that has high self-esteem. High self-esteem is being the best we can and feeling good about who we are and doing our best. But in doing that, we recognize others' abilities as well, where that narcissist, it's always about being better than and not about working as a team. And we do know too that narcissism is a personality disorder. People with this condition have a real inflated opinion of themselves, and they need lots of attention. If they're in a situation that they feel like they're not in control, they're not getting their way, they're going to deflect. They'll even move away from the conversation. They can become agitated, angry, and frustrated. So let's just take a closer look then at this personality disorder called narcissism. This is a bit of a profile. See if you know anyone that fits this profile. They have a sense of entitlement. They crave attention. They only listen to themselves. Nobody else's word is important because they have all the answers. They're superior. They won't follow rules. They're rule breakers. They hate to be criticized because why criticize them? They see themselves as almost near perfect. They have a grandiose sense of self-importance. They know more than anybody else in the room. They never admit they're wrong because they are never wrong. And they're not very flexible or adaptable. That's what makes dealing with a narcissistic person extremely challenging because they're very toxic. So the big question is, and I've asked several of my professional counterparts this, can narcissists change? Well, we know change is hard. Change is hard for all of us. We all resist change. It takes work. Sometimes we resist change because, we feel threatened or afraid. But generally we buy into change because we see a benefit. Maybe for you it's eating healthier, going back to school for another degree, changing jobs, joining a gym or an exercise program. You make the change because you believe in the change and you know that you need to change and you come up with a plan to do that. Well, why doesn't the narcissist change? Because they don't believe they need to change. They feel like everything and everyone around them needs to change because they don't. So I've come up with 5 steps to help you communicate and deal with a narcissist in your life. We know that they're unilateral listeners, not bilateral. That means they only want to hear themselves. They only want to hear themselves talk, and they certainly don't want to have any interactive communication. It's all about them keeping control of the situation. So if you're trying to bring a narcissist on board for a certain thing, say in the work environment, to buy into a certain game plan that the company's initiating, one of the best phrases to use is, we have an idea I think you'll really like, because that's telling them they're important and that it's an idea they're going to like. So they immediately don't feel like, ooh, don't tell me what to do. This is a good invitation for them to join in the conversation. Now, recognize that life is always about them and they won't validate you unless they need something from you. So if you feel like the narcissist in your life is changing because all of a sudden they're validating you, step back and take a pause. They're doing that because they want something from you. So avoid engaging in narcissistic conversation that's demeaning by saying, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I have my opinion too. And then just walk away. Don't engage because they're very, very hard to argue with because they will go to any level to win the conversation. Remember that rules are for them. Rules are for us and not for them. They're rule breakers. So don't expect a narcissist to play by the rules. They don't have rules. They adjust to rules according to what works for them. So maybe you would use the phrase to set boundaries, something like, I don't agree with you. However, you have the right to feel that way. You're giving them permission to feel that way, but you're telling them, I'm not buying into it, and I don't have to be what you want me to be. Now, we know they can be toxic because it's all about them, and it's all about winning. So when you need to express your needs and wants, this is where assertive communication comes in very handy. Direct communication. Stay on task and be very direct and set those boundaries in your conversation by saying something like, well, I wanted you to know how I felt, or I want you to know how I feel. Because again, it's that I statement. You're taking ownership for that. And you're saying to them, this is important to me. I own this and I want you to know how I feel. Now, they might not pay attention to it and they might not buy into it, but you at least are empowered by saying, this is how I feel. This allows you to share your opinion and your feelings. Avoid challenging a narcissist because they have a very low tolerance for frustration. So maybe you would use a phrase like this: you're allowed to feel that way, or I hear you, this is my opinion. You don't need to agree with them. That's your power. You don't need to agree with them, and sometimes it's best to walk away. So, navigating a narcissist is challenging, but I just have a few ideas that I want to end with. Realize that narcissists are emotionally limited, And if all of a sudden you're feeling a lot of emotional support from them, it's probably because they want something from you. Don't get caught up in trying to please them. It's an impossible task. They're very difficult to please. You're not a mind reader, and you have to own your behavior, your feelings, and move forward with those. So protect yourself and your self-worth. Remember that it's okay to walk away. Sometimes it's the best decision is to walk away from a demeaning conversation. And then if it just becomes overwhelming, get professional tools by seeing a therapist that can help you. Yes, maybe a no. Assertive communication can help you. The two facets of assertive communication that I think are most effective in dealing with a narcissist is I statements and not using qualifiers. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you got some great tips on dealing with a narcissist. And in the next couple of weeks, I'll be sharing some other ideas with you. So please subscribe and like my channel. Thanks so much.